Our first speaker is our own Antti Suvanto here. Antti is an experienced product management professional, and he will be talking about product strategy and why is it more important than ever. Antti, please welcome.
So, my speech today is about product strategy and why it is more important than ever. The reason is that in what kind of world we actually live today, and basically it looks to be quite turbulent. So the market needs are changing, technologies are evolving, if not changing, and also the competition is harder. Also, when we do our job as creating products, the kind of requirement from people who are working is that they want to be kind of a self-oriented. They want to work in teams which are autonomous so that they can make all the practical decisions how to proceed. But the risk there is that we kind of lose direction. We need some kind of tools for managing that kind of development operations. And basically the kind of a pace of change, it's all the time increasing. We all know that there are also happening kind of economical and some other nasty things around us, which most likely bring some changes. We need to be able to react, but still without losing the direction where we are going, what do we want to achieve. So what does every company want to achieve? At least they should make their customers happy. I think Colin's speech was quite a lot about that theme. Every company wants to create some value for the customers and of course charge fair amount of money against that value we deliver for our customers to be successful in our business, so to say. So I guess this is a common target. Sometimes it's growth, sometimes it's kind of an impact. But many times it's kind of a ice cold cash we want to make in certain time frame or whatsoever is the kind of timing we are looking for that. In order to have the product strategy, of course, we need to define what we want to achieve. It's called the vision. The vision defines where do we want to be in the next coming 3 or 5 years, even more. It's kind of a change we want to make. In many cases, it's not very concrete. So if your vision consists of some targets regarding revenue or margins, it's not a good vision. You need to create the value. You need to have kind of a great plan, great target to target for. But when we define the vision, there are plenty of ways to achieve, or at least it looks like that we have plenty of ways. So there are many distractions on the way. The selections regarding markets, technologies, sales channels, customers, customer segmentation, they are actually often sub-optimized. So people are looking for the view from their own viewpoint or the viewpoint of their team or part of the organization, and that creates challenges. So there are plenty of ways, but if we don't select 3, 2, 1 of them, most likely we are not able to achieve our vision. How they solve the thing? So product strategy defines how we do achieve our vision. So it's the plan, what we are going to do in order to achieve it. When talking about product strategy, the main difference for the company strategy is that the product strategy concentrates on what we are going to sell for our customers. So it concentrates on our offering. But it's not limited to that. Why would we develop any kind of products if we don't have a proper sales channel? Why would we develop products if we don't have a working business model? So everything is connected. So product strategy has strong relation to the GTM, go-to-market strategy, business models, technology, whatsoever. And even if the product is mentioned there, it actually touches every single team in the company. One example here, there might be Tesla owners in this room. To make it a little bit shorter, we could start from the vision here, so that the Elon's vision was to build an affordable electric car. And he made a product strategy with kind of a phased approach. So the first kind of a release was a sports car. Next one was kind of a luxury car, and the third phase is the Tesla Model S, Tesla Model 3, which sells very good at the moment. And the kind of a phased approach was his product strategy. It was not possible to jump directly to the mass-produced, price-efficient models, so they needed a couple of stages before that. And why this product strategy is needed? The main point is that when we start the implementation, we have clear goals for each phase of the product strategy. So when starting with this sports car, the main target was to have a kind of a proof of concept showing the world that the electric cars can actually be desirable. There used to be electric cars in the year 1910s or something like that, but those were very clumsy and heavy. The performance was bad, and the kind of internal combustion engines ruled over 80 years out of that. But to show the world that these electric cars can really be something. And when his team was working with this development with the sports car, I'm 100% sure that there were people on the marketing, if not department, but people who were doing marketing and sales, and they met people, kind of a soccer moms, just like I used to be, that, well, it needs to have at least 6 seats because Antti has such a big family, or there needs to be some soccer players on board. And now I have a customer who has money on the table, and I can sell 1,000, 10,000 or 50,000 of these 6-seaters. And Elon said, no. Our strategy is to concentrate on the sports car in this phase. The next step would be kind of a luxury car, and then we can go to the segments for people having less money, building those in higher amounts, taking the scalability there, and maybe the 6-seaters for ordinary people are also coming. But it comes later. They made selections, painful selections, but that worked. Tesla is doing fine. The key benefits of a winning product strategy is that it really sets the priorities and helps in decision making. The product strategy defines what's important for us as of today or in any given time frame. If in your organization the decision making is difficult and slow, you don't know what is important, most likely your product strategy is missing something. Also, when we have a proper product strategy, we can communicate the things we are really doing and concentrating on for our customers. So our customer messaging is much more clear. Customers know what they can expect from us, what kind of problems or needs we can solve for our customers. So the customers will be happy. We manage the expectations in the right way. The customer experience is much better. Our business will be improved as well. And if we don't have the product strategy and we are kind of trying to achieve our vision without making these hard decisions, then it goes in a way that I have my impression or my feeling how my team is going to contribute on that. My colleagues have a different view, slightly different view, and those are not kind of combined. The likelihood that we are successful and we will reach our vision will be going down. How product strategy helps? So, product strategy sets the priorities for the development and also protects from the unnecessary requirements coming from short-term sales opportunities or something like that. It also defines the market and customers and gives focus for the sales and marketing team. It gives guidance for the technology selections and competence building development, and kind of makes our overall messaging towards the customers more clear. And many customers prefer clear messages. I don't want to buy from companies who are not able to kind of tell what they are doing, who are their customers. If I buy products, I want to be part of one of their key segments so that I can be sure that the product is developing to the direction which benefits for me. Being kind of a long-tail customer is painful, and that needs to be, that can be addressed with product strategy. The last thing here is that it also communicates the assumptions we made when we prepared the product strategy. And when we list those assumptions, for example, about the market development, maybe technology development, if we identify those, we document those, we can also build some kind of KPIs so that we can really measure if our assumptions for the future are actually right, how they are developing, and we can easily, not only reactive mode, but also in proactive mode to react on those changes. And also, it's a kind of a common plan in the organization, kind of combining the sales team, development team, product management team, production team, whatsoever, so that we have a common plan how to reach the vision. How does a good product strategy look like? So it contains a lot of elements. You most likely need to make several iterations and also making different versions for different target groups. Maybe you are not showing it to the customers as a whole document, but there are bits and pieces which needs to be communicated and tested with the customers. But it really needs deep analysis on the market and customer insight. When talking about products, it's not only customers, just like interviewing one customer or two customers, but it's really looking for the market, the customer segments. It also includes the business model, how we are going to make money with our products. Typically, there are certain themes, kind of strategical things we have selected. For example, where we want to beat our competition. Differentiators against competition, where we are trying to be better than our competition. And then comes the most obvious kind of do's. What are we going to develop? How does the product version or release look like? But there are a lot of other things as well. And maybe the most important is actually this don't do's. So when defining a product strategy, you need to make painful decisions, hard prioritization, and documenting what we are not going to do. Who are not our customers. That's most likely the most valuable part of your product strategy, as it really speeds up the decision making when there are a lot of noise around us and markets and everything is changing all the time. Kind of targets and KPIs, very important part in the product strategy, so that we can follow if the world is developing in a way as we saw it when preparing this, and we can continuously follow the development, and if something changes, we can then change our product strategy accordingly. The product strategy is not carved on the stone. It can be and should be changed if something changes around it. So, key takeaways. Product strategy is needed in order to achieve your goals and the vision. Product strategy is a very powerful tool for breaking the silos, so that you will kind of have a common view what you are trying to achieve, what you are doing, what you are not doing, and then you can balance the activities between different stakeholders within your organization. It's utmost important that the sales team, marketing people, production, customer services, everybody is on the same page. And we are trying to solve the same problem for our customers, align our activities so that the outcome is what we are looking for, not trying to optimize our own comfort zone or how we should think as independent workers, how things should be. And also product strategy is very important in the agile world. So when we talk about self-directing autonomous teams, they really need some guidance where we are going to. It's not enough that we ask the user, but we need to have some kind of plan how we will go forward and kind of give the guideline where to go. Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments? I think we have some time for those.
Yeah, so my question is about the kind of the documenting and communicating about the product strategy. What are your guidelines and tips for succeeding in that?
Yeah. So maybe starting from the simplest way of doing it. One way of showing it is kind of a long-term roadmap type of presentation, so that you have some kind of list of activities or list of problems you are going to solve on some kind of timeline. And there, do not put any technical details or accurate feature descriptions, but it should be kind of concentrating on the value you are creating for the customers. That's one starting point. But of course, there are plenty of elements in the product strategy. most likely there will be a set of Confluence pages or PowerPoint slides listing those kind of assumptions we have made, something related to the market development, which is more detailed, but so that it's kind of easy to access document.
Kind of a reinforcing statement that you don't do. I used to work in a measurement company, and we had in the strategy we had these do's and don'ts. And one of the basic principles was, for instance, that we were making devices. We had a trade of no installations, no training. And it was very easy for like my service team. We didn't, if somebody asked, do you come and install? No. Do you train? No. Maybe it sounds a bit stupid, but what it meant was that the products were developed to be easy to use and the manuals were impeccable.
Yeah.
So maybe kind of a donkey bridge in Finnish aasinsilta. So how can you make it easier to make the do not decisions?
How to make easier those?
Because we all know that making those decisions that we don't do, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
So any tips for making that easier?
Well, I think it's putting some context on the. So if I say that we are not going to do this, I have to be ready to explain why. And your example was pretty good, so that if it's selected that there is no services on certain conditions, it's a very strict guideline that the product needs to be kind of intuitive when you take it into use. And that's a hard selection. It should be on the wall of the cafeteria or lunch, where you eat lunch canteen or whatsoever, so that it's really shared. But being able to answer why, that helps.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is maybe a little bit related to semantics, but nowadays we are throwing around this word strategy around very easily. There is product strategy, CX strategy, sustainability strategy, supply chain strategy, XXX strategy, strategies everywhere. Do you think does this cause like dilution of the actual business strategy? So should there be actually only business strategy, that's it, and everything else is a enabler, accelerator towards that strategy? Like also the slide you showed about Tesla, the product strategy, I felt like you could change the word product with business and it would just apply the same. Maybe it's just semantics, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, that's a good point. And also strategy is kind of a consultant jargon, and it's kind of a management language. So if I don't know at all what I'm talking about, maybe mentioning strategy makes me feel powerful. But I think the product strategy is kind of a component of the business strategy, and it's kind of overlapping. So maybe sharing the overall business strategy for smaller components makes sense, so that we kind of ground our discussion what we are exactly talking about, even though those are connected and overlapping in great deal. And also what comes to the term product strategy, you can think about it as a product strategy of a company, but also it is used in the context of making a strategy for an independent product. And my thinking is that both are right, but are meaning a little bit different thing.
I think it's time to applause, all right?
Good. Yep.